Stampin' Buddies. It's Lori from Lori's Little Bit of Crafting. Let's try to get this set to the right spot. I think that'll work. How is everybody tonight? I tell you, it's like Christmas here. I got a delivery today and I have a few new things that I get to play with. So, whoa. I'm just going to run through the things that were in my box, and I didn't even pay for like super fast shipping, but it seems like this got here really quickly. So this must have still been things that were either new online exclusives or maybe still from our pre-order. I don't remember. But anyway, this is a really fun little sailboat set that comes with this hybrid embossing folder. And I've used these before. I just have to get this package open. I've used these before, and they're pretty slick because, sorry for all the noise, you get the embossing folder. Oh, my stack is just like misbehaving. You get the embossing folder, and then there's also dies that you can use together with the embossing folder or separate, and you can use the embossing folder with the die or without the die. Now I like to split my embellishment envelopes on the side. I also like to split my embossing folder envelopes on the side because then I can just slide them out. So look at this. Hopefully you can see that. So there's this sailboat in there with the clouds and the water. And when we were at the Midwest demonstrator event last week, we did a shoebox swap Friday evening, and somebody did a card using this, and we used craft white ink and a Q-tip to highlight the waves, and it looked really slick. So I'll be doing that maybe tomorrow. I will be having a guest stamper at some point over the weekend. I'm not sure if it'll be tomorrow or another day, but at some point I imagine I will have a guest stamper. So let's take a look at these dies. So this is just for the water, and then there's for the sailboats and the clouds. So that's pretty exciting. So how this will work, I should probably kind of show you. There's so much to look at. The sailboat, the large one, maybe will fit in here. And I'm losing my stack of things again. We'll get through this in just a second, and then things will probably start shifting around. So this looks like I probably bent it just a little bit when I was getting it off of the package. This will set in here. And then when you add the paper, you will be embossing and cutting at the same time. So that sailboat will also get embossed, but cut out as a shape. So that's pretty slick. All right. So word to the unknowing. Be careful when you take that one off the two-sided tape, because that two-sided tape is really sticky. And I like to put my dies in so I can actually see them from the front. All right. So let's put this away. I am excited to be able to play with some of these things because, like I said, it's like Christmas. And with the new online exclusives and the catalog, there are just some really nice sentiment sets. So the Right Words has a lot of different things here. Kind of a sympathy one, missing somebody, another sympathy, happy birthday, celebration. Just a really nice mix. And then there's also some sentimental framing that goes with these frames. And they're They're really kind of ornate. But again, when I was at the Midwest Demonstrator event last week, somebody did a swap with these. No, we did a technique demonstration, and she did blending brushes, I think, on here, and made a really cute little polka dot design. Something I would not have thought of, so I am going to give that a whirl. Okay. And this again has some really nice sentiments. I like the font here. And then just the block fonts as well. There are no words to fill the void, but know that I am here. Through it all, you've always been there for me. So these are just some grateful sentiments. And then this goes with a couple of things here. Not that, but these are interesting embossing folders too. We saw these demonstrated at the event as well, using a brayer to go and highlight some of the emboss sections. And then this is supposed to look like glass, and it did look really slick. So we're going to play with that at some point as well. Here's another one with some really nice sentiments. This is a cling mount set. So I'm actually going to do a quickie little project, hopefully, with that. So I'm going to mount a stamp for that. And the sentiment I'm going to use here is just inhale, exhale. But basically these are just kind of like mental health ones, you know? It's all right to just sit and feel how you feel if you're having a bad day or whatever. But I don't want to be on the downside. I want to kind of encourage and lift up. So anyway, it kind of goes that inhale, exhale one goes with this. It's okay if all you did today was breathe. I thought that was kind of sweet. So the dies that go with this and this are here, and these are gorgeous. I mean, look at this. So this is just, there, we'll go like that. This is a beautiful fern type piece. I didn't cut this one out, but this one is pretty slick too, because it doesn't cut the image all the way off the paper. It lifts it, but doesn't separate it. Kind of like the opposite of an 18-hour bra, I guess, which lifts and separates. But this doesn't actually separate. Bad humor, but that's how my mind works sometimes. So isn't that gorgeous? So I'm going to work that into a card at some point, but I am going to use this tonight. We're almost through my new things. So I'm not going to use this. And then these are some beautiful motifs, so that goes with this as well. So this is the bottom of my pile. I thought this was kind of cool, and they are pretty true to size. Maybe that goes like that. Oh, I don't know how it goes. Like that. Whew, I don't know why that was so hard. So yeah, the images on this case are true to size. Sometimes they're reduced down to like 85% so that they all fit. But these are the size that they are. You've been on my mind. So what you see on the package is how big they're going to be. So I'm going to go ahead and mount. I'm going to use this stamp. So I've already mounted that on a block. And then I'm going to use the inhale, exhale. So I pulled that off of the red rubber foam piece. And I'm one of those stampers that really needs to have whatever's on the stamp displayed on my foam. So when I mount my stamps, when they're cling, I peel them off of the whole sheet, and I put them on a block. I've shown this recently, but I figured I've just got one, so I'll show it again. Then I take those backing papers off, I line it up, and I'm going to go like this so it's a little easier to see. And voila. All right, I try to take my time so I can get it lined up pretty well. So I think I can leave this here for this. Let me put this back in the case so I don't lose it. And then let's just do a quick card. Hopefully it'll be quick. I am using Basic Beige. So 8.5 by 11. I score it at 4 1/4. And then I cut once at 5 1/2. If you're going to do one card, you may as well get two ready to go. All right. So here's my card base. Let's go ahead and burnish this edge. It's laying pretty flat for me. And then I'm going to do tone on tone. Now I haven't pre-worked this, so I don't know how it's going to look, but I can tell you this ink pad is kind of stiff. And when my ink pads are stiff like that, I take some of this just Vaseline Liquid Therapy that comes with just the round edge. I suppose you could use the lip balm one too, but I just put a little bit in the track. If I can get it in there. Usually it's not that difficult to get in there. We'll just push some of this down into there. And then when I slide it back and forth, look at how much easier that is. Just a very small dollop. And then because I get it in the track, it's not going to get on anything else. I never seem to have greasy fingers. So, all right, there's a helpful tip for the night, hopefully. And then we'll just make sure there's no Vaseline left on this. All right, so I did try out this stamp to create this little image. Okay, so you can see on the lighter paper, it's almost like a old kind of wallpaper design. It reminds me of wallpaper. So I'm actually going to just stamp this on my card. Let's see how it looks. And usually I take my ink to my stamp. Today I'm going to take my stamp to my ink just because that's how it is. Now, what I did was I turned it all the way around because there is a less jagged side and there's a more jagged side. So just to kind of get these to almost interlock, I just turned them over. It might work, it might not work. But that's kind of how it looked like it needed to go. And then we'll put this one back up that way. And we'll do one more, I guess. Over here. All right. And then I'm going to put this here. Maybe we'll kind of go at an angle. I don't know how this is going to turn out. I was going to do this tone on tone again, but I think I want that to pop out a little bit more. Let's take a look here and see with Basic Beige, if I do Old Olive, it recommends, Stampin' Up! Recommends Peach Pie. So let's get some Peach Pie and maybe Lost Lagoon, just in case we don't like it. Peach Pie and Lost Lagoon. All right, see, you can tell I wasn't really planning ahead. All right, so here's our inhale, exhale. Let's do the Peach Pie. It won't matter if it's right side up or upside down, but I kind of like to be able to see it. So there's my inhale, exhale, and Peach Pie. Let's try that again on the other side of the paper and see if I can get it a little better image. It's a little jagged. All right, we'll just hold that on for a few seconds so the paper can absorb the ink. That's better. I got a little halo there, but that's not going to matter because I am going to trim that anyway. And then let's wash that off, and let's do it in Lost Lagoon and see how that looks. We'll go down here. And oh, I kind of like them both. We'll see. I think what I could do is cut another foliage piece, or maybe this piece. I'll do that and finish it. So if we put another piece there and then the sentiment on here, let's close up our ink so I don't have an oops. And then you can see too where this die kind of goes with the shape of this flower. It's pretty cool. And then this looks like it will maybe die cut that. These are 90% size, so this would be the right size to maybe cut that out. It should be. I'll play with it. We'll see. We'll see if it works. But anyway, I could cut that out maybe with the peach pie and do the sentiment in the Lost Lagoon. And let's just try something here. Now I have a blending brush. I think this has been washed. But we're gonna do, let's look at this one. See if we add a little weathering look to this. I think that would be okay. So let's do that on the edge of here. I'm just going to do it on 3 edges because I think I'm going to tear that edge. And I like the blending brushes because you can add just subtle color, or you can make it really dark. But it just happens so gradually. I know some people like a more immediate effect, but I'm all right with it just being a little gradual. And I'm leaving it lighter where the words are just so they kind of stand out a little bit. You might not even be able to tell that I've done any embossing on there. Maybe if I turn on extra light, or not embossing, but blending brushes. All right, and then let's just kind of tear this. Now we're not going to see a white core because our cardstock, the regular cardstock, is dyed all the way through the paper. Where the two-tone cardstock, it's dyed on it. So if we were to put this here and then a peach pie flower there, what do you think? Let me go grab some peach pie. I'll get this other stuff out of the way and we'll get my little cut and emboss machine out here. And we'll get little Betsy to do some magic if I don't lose everything. All right, so we'll need a base, little base, and 2 cutting plates. Let me get some peach pie. I just need to cut a little scrap. And We'll let Betsy do some work here. All right, that did the job. I'll get this out of the way. And there are some little bits that didn't come out. Sometimes you can just flick them, depending on how fragile your piece is. So if you hold this pretty good, these are kind of flicking out. Otherwise you can get a little pokey tool or you take your pick tool, which is usually my go-to piece to use for this kind of stuff. But this is all coming out pretty good. One last piece. I spoke too soon. All right, so we do our little foliage piece, this, and then this up on dimensionals. We'll put that over there. Maybe I want some of that stem to show on the bottom. And then we also have our basic beige ribbon. We could probably put that somewhere under here. So that's kind of the idea. I think I want that over to the edge. And then maybe some embellishments would look good. But it's just kind of a weathered, I don't know, shabby chic. Is that what they call it? So this was the Beautiful Motifs. And where's the piece here? And Beautiful Motifs. So I used that bundle. And it's okay. So that's what I used for this project. You saw some of my new stuff, so you know, expect some playing around with some more new products. That's all I have for you tonight. Thanks for stopping by and spending a little part of your day crafting with me. And until next time, happy crafting.